Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those who are not familiar with the channel or viewing this channel for the first time, the reason why it's called Uncommon Sense because we are dealing with daily issues where we try to find sensible solutions to the issues that we face. Unfortunately, not everyone uses logic. It's for that reason why it is called uncommon sense. Right now, we are live at Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope and Twitter. Now, the topic for tonight's show is the art of effective communication. Before we get into the topic, I just want to give you some information. Starting next Tuesday, we're going to be doing our first stream in Spanish. Everyone is welcome to participate. Just bear in mind, everything's going to be in Spanish. And the topic is going to be the beauty of the Latino culture. Let me just say a few words in Spanish. El próximo martes será la primera vez que vamos a tener programación en español. Y la tema será la belleza de la cultura latina. Todo el mundo está invitado a participar o ver la programación. La única cosa que para ustedes que sepan será completamente en español. Y el motivo de eso es que hay miembros de nuestra comunidad que quizás disfrutar de la programación, pero sin embargo no habla inglés. So the reason why we're doing this is that there are people in our community that might enjoy the content but don't speak English. So that's the reason why. We're going to be doing 2 streams in Spanish. I'm also trying to schedule interviews as well with other YouTubers. As soon as we have more concrete information, it will be posted in Instagram and Facebook. And I'll probably do a short video. Now, I see that there are already 3 people viewing the stream. I just want to let everybody know that the link is there in the chat. You're all welcome to join the panel and to share your views. All I ask is please be respectable. Don't overtalk the host or any of the guests so we can have a pleasant time. Now we're going to get into the topic of what is the art of effective communication. Now, of course, in this channel, we always give definitions because unfortunately people take words and they take the words out of context. So communicating effectively means that your ideas and concepts are being heard and people are acting upon them. It also means that you're able to listen, understand, and take action on what other people say. The hard part about business communication that people often don't know what they are conversing clearly. Just listening to that sentence that I just read, it's a dialogue, not a monologue. A monologue is one person speaking on and on and on, and other people are not given an opportunity to speak. Now, we're going to get into the discussion of the 4 types of communication styles. Okay. The first style is aggressive. And it is emphasized by speaking in a loud and demanding voice, maintaining intense eye contact, and dominating or controlling others by blaming, intimidating, criticizing, threatening, or attacking them, among other traits. And these are some examples of aggressive communication that might be used. I'm right and you're wrong. I get my way no matter what, and it's your fault. Now, in some places, it is appropriate to use this type of action, communication, mainly with the military when they're trying to get soldiers and enlisted personnel to follow orders. Now, the next type of communication is called passive aggressive. Passive aggressive communication style uses appear to be passive on the surface, but within he or she may feel powerless or stuck, building up a resentment that leads to seething or acting out in subtle, indirect ways. Most passive aggressive communicators will muddle to themselves whether they confront a person or issue. They have difficulty acknowledging their anger, use facial expressions that don't correlate with how they feel, and even deny there is a problem. Passive aggressive communicators are most likely to communicate with body language or a lack of open communication to another person, such as giving the silent treatment, spreading rumors behind people's backs, or sabotaging others' efforts. Passive aggressive communicators may appear to be cooperative, but they may suddenly be doing the opposite. Ultimately, passive aggressive communicators are aware of their needs, but at times struggle to voice them. Now we're going to go into the next style of communication, which is assertive. Thought to be the most effective form of communication, the assertive communication style features an open communication link while not being overbearing. Assertive communicators can express their own needs, desires, ideas, and feelings, while also considering the needs of others. Assertive communicators aim for both sides to win in a situation, balancing one's rights within the rights of others. Assertive communicators can express their own needs, desires, ideas, and feelings while also considering the needs of others. In this example, it's another form of a dialogue where one speaks and then the other person is given the opportunity to speak. Okay. Excuse me. Just bear with me for a moment. Okay, I think I didn't discuss passive. Okay, passive communication. Excuse me. Individuals use passive communication style indifferently, yielding to others. Passive communication usually fails to express their feelings, allowing others to express themselves. Frequently, passive communicators' lack of communication can lead to misunderstanding, anger, or resentment. At the same time, these communicators can be safer to speak with when a conflict arises because they most likely avoid confrontation or defer to others. Okay. Now we're going to speak about some principles in communication. And again, people, I encourage you, please, if you have an opinion on a topic, enter it in the chat. If you wish to join the panel, do so, because The whole purpose is not to be a monologue. Until then, I'm going to continue. Now, here's the first principle, which is communicate promptly. Clarity comes from clear lines of communication. Responding to people promptly is a mark of good leadership and communication. In other words, someone sends you an email or sends you a correspondence and you respond, or someone texts you and you respond within a reasonable time. There'll be times where one may not be able to respond quickly, but the person should try to respond within a reasonable time. Current technology expands the communication tools available to us, and most of us use multiple methods to communicate with various groups of people in our lives. This is both a challenge and opportunity. You might feel overwhelmed by the constant stream of notifications. The key of effective communication in the age of tech is to have a strategy. Okay. Now, here is the second principle. Be direct in your communication. The biggest barrier to clarity is often insecurity. Insecure leaders fear the need to couch their language. What does it look like? If you find yourself saying things like, if you get around to it, well, let's circle back to this. No rush, but if it sounds good, maybe we could. That's a good idea. Let me think about it. If you are employed this bad habit for any period of time, your team has surely picked up on it and heated, but they won't tell you. Emphasizing this, failing to end discussions or lack a clear call to action annoy your team and you will lose respect. Telling someone that the idea is good when it's not, or when you think about something when you won't, is a way to kick the can down the road or even uncomfortable conversation later. Now, the third principle is follow through. And I'm going to explain to you what that means. Do what you say. Successful leadership hinges on people believing you will make a commitment. Not doing what you say, not saying what you would is an integrity issue. Your actions or inaction can speak louder than your words. The servant's heart in a leader ultimately drive your ability to follow through. All leaders make mistakes or make a promise in earnest that they discover they cannot keep. Be sure to own your own mistakes. Sooner or later, you will make a mistake. Making a mistake does not make you a failure. No, owning up to mistakes is the failure. Now, I have a saying. It's not exactly good English, but the saying is, when you mess up, fess up. In other words, when you make a mistake or you err in judgment, be the adult, accept responsibility, accept the consequences of your actions, learn from your mistakes, so therefore you will not repeat them. Now we're going to go into what we call the C's of effective communication. Okay. And the first one is be clear. To communicate effectively, you have to know what you want and take ownership of your own needs. Before communicating your issue, identify it and know what you want and need from the other person. When you experience an issue, try to get clarity on what the issue is and why it shows up for you. Do you feel disrespected and shut down when a colleague is not open to hearing your opinion in a meeting? Understand what the value of yours isn't being honored and owned. It is your responsibility to initiate tough conversation. The next C, be concise. Keep your request direct, simple, and to the point. The less wordy, the better. Don't get caught up in the story. Focus on getting your point across is the most succinct matter and moving the conversation forward. In other words, get to the point and speak with the fewest number of words possible. Now, the next C is provide a compelling request. Once you make a request for change, you're in negotiations. After communication the issue, provide the person with a suggested solution that you will be happy with. If you feel shut down and dismissed in meetings, whether they bring your area or expertise into consideration, first ask the other person if there's a deeper issue. Then ask on how you might resolve it and make your request to be listened in the future. Explain that just as it's important for you to express your opinion or expertise, to be involved in the conversation and share your thoughts on the topic to provide necessary feedback. Now, the fourth C is be curious. And what does that mean? Listen to what the other person's needs. Once you make a request, be curious about what the other person's issues and objectives are and what they might need to fulfill your request. It is not all about you. Understand where the other person's coming from because they also have needs and issues that must be addressed. And then the final C is be compassionate. Make an attempt to understand the other person. Listen carefully to their feedback and put your own assumption aside. When a person feels like they're being heard, they tend to be more open, to open up more and feel safe and more secure in the conversation, which can lead to a more trusting relationship. Having the ability to understand, recognize, and appreciate the way others feel is crucial in resolving conflict, managing change, and making tough decisions. Strive to negotiate and win with both parties by taking the other person's perspective into consideration. Now, one key element in all this is an interchange. Both people or all parties are allowed an opportunity to speak. All parties are allowed to give their viewpoint. And again, it is an interchange. Now, I do appreciate the fact that there are 4 likes here. And I would encourage everyone to please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I prepare any material, whether it be a video or stream, you will be notified, and then you will be opportunity to participate. Perhaps more people will catch this stream on the playback. Now, there are some barriers to effective communication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time talking about these things. And if after that, if no one else wishes to enter a comment in the chat or join the panel, I will start the wrap up and I will start discussing the stream for my next show. Now, there are some barriers for communicating effectively. So let's deal with them. One of them is stress and out of control emotion. When you are stressed or emotionally overwhelmed, you are more likely to misread other people and send confusing or off-putting nonverbal signals and lapse into unhealthy knee-jerk patterns of behavior. To avoid conflict and misunderstanding, to, you can learn to quickly calm down before continuing a conversation. Another barrier is lack of focus. You cannot communicate effectively when you are multitasking. If you are checking your phone, planning what you're going to say next, or day trading, you must certainly to miss nonverbal clues in the conversation. To communicate effectively, you need to avoid distractions and stay focused. Now, let me just tell you something that annoys me to no end. I'm having a conversation with you, and you're doing this. I just bear in mind there are 24 hours in a day, and there is limit to what you can do and what you can't do. But at the very least, when someone is speaking to you, at least give that person their full undivided attention. Put the phone down for a moment. You can always text later and call later, because it does send out a message that that person does not have your full and undivided attention. Now, another barrier is inconsistent body language. Nonverbal communication should reinforce what's being said, not contradict it. If you say one thing but your body language says something else, your listener will likely feel that you're being dishonest. For example, you can't say yes while shaking your head no. Another barrier to effective communication is negative body language. If you disagree or dislike what's being said, you might use negative body language to rebuff the other person's message, such as crossing your arms, avoiding eye contact, or tapping your feet. You don't have to agree with or even like what's being said, but to communicate effectively and not to put the other person on the defensive, it's important to avoid sending negative signals. Um, Let me just give you a perfect example. Um, one stream that I did, which the topic was, is the pandemic over? Um, Denise and myself, we had conflicting viewpoints regarding whether or not the pandemic is over, or was it a pandemic, or should we call it, or a health crisis. Uh, we both disagree with each other. However, Denise allowed me to share my views and to give my evidence to support my hypothesis. And then I allowed Denise the opportunity to express her views and to give evidence to substantiate her assertions. Again, it's no shame if you disagree. Let's be agreeable when you do disagree. Now we're going to focus on some tips. How to be an engaged listener. I see that now there are 4 people viewing the stream. I do appreciate the fact that you are interested in the topic. And again, if you wish to make a comment, by all means do so. Not in all fairness, there is a function where if you wish to enter a comment in the stream, you have to be a subscriber. The reason why that function is in place is due to the fact is at times trolls try to enter the chat and say negative things. Unfortunately, that's a fact of life. And if I want to create a safe environment, I have to take certain actions, such as making sure the trolls don't enter, trying to create an environment when people feel safe to express their viewpoints. And if we're going to disagree, let us disagree, but let us be agreeable when we disagree. Now let's focus on the tips on becoming an engaged listener. Focus fully on the speaker. You can't listen in an engaged way if you're constantly checking your phone. You need to stay focused on the moment-to-moment experiences in order to pick up the subtle nuances and important nonverbal clues in a conversation. If you find it hard to communicate on some speakers, try repeating their words over your head. It will reinforce their message and help you to stay focused. Okay. Again, it can be very annoying when you're talking to somebody and they're doing this. Now, this is something that I never heard before, but favor your right ear. As strange as it sounds, the left side of the brain contains the primary processing center for both speech, comprehension, and emotions. Since the left side of the brain is connected to the right side of the body, favoring your right ear can help you better detect the emotional nuances of what someone is saying. Avoid interrupting or trying to redirect the conversation to your concerns. By saying something like, I think that's bad, let me tell you what happened to me. Listening is not the same as waiting for your turn to talk. You can't concentrate on someone saying if you're forming what you're going to say next. Often the speaker can read your facial expressions and know your mind's elsewhere. Again, when one person speaks, we all listen. I mean, that's not very complicated, but you'll be surprised how complicated it is. I mean, particularly if you go to some of these streams and you see some individuals trying to overtalk each other and raise their voice and what have you. The next thing you can do is show your interest in what's being said. Not occasionally smile at the person and make sure your posture is open and inviting, encouraging the speaker to continue with a small verbal movement like yes or uh-huh. The next step is try to set aside judgment. In order to communicate effectively with someone, you don't have to like them or agree with their ideas, values, or opinions. However, you do need to set aside your judgment and withhold blame and criticism in order to fully understand them. The most difficult communication, when successfully executed, can lead to an unlikely connection with someone. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Okay. I first met Denise when we were on Christina's stream regarding femicide. And the fact of the matter is, she rubbed me the wrong way. And I made it clear. However, I gave her an opportunity to amplify what she was saying. And then after I heard it more, and it's like, actually what she's saying makes sense. The difference is I listened. I withheld my judgment until I had an opportunity to listen to what's being said. And I was able to come to the conclusion, no, she's a bit opinionated, but she's a good girl. She's very articulate. She's very intelligent. Another thing we can do is provide positive feedback. If there seems to be a disconnect, reflect what has been said by paraphrasing. What I'm hearing is, or sound like it's saying, are great ways to reflect back. Don't simply repeat what the speaker has said verbatim, though you sound insincere and unintelligent. Instead, express what the speaker's words mean to you. Ask questions to clarify certain points. What do you mean when you say, or is this what you mean? Now, in this case, what the one person is doing is trying to see if they have a full understanding what's being said, and then asking questions for clarification. That way, both individuals are on the same page, so to speak. Okay. I don't know. And again, if you keep continuing, notice the fact that, again, it's a dialogue, not a monologue. All parties involved are allowed to express their viewpoint. All parties involved are able to receive information, process the information, and then ask questions. If there's anything that needs clarification. Now, I'm going to give some more ways that we can read nonverbal communication, and then I'm just going to end it there because it seems like no one else is going to join the chat. Maybe people will get on the playback. There's some keys that you can help you improve you read nonverbal communication. Be aware of individual differences. People from different countries and cultures tend to use different nonverbal communication gestures. So it's important to take age, culture, religion, gender, and emotional state into account when reading body language signals. One of the problems that we have is not understanding or not having a clear understanding because we really don't know these individuals. However, once you are mindful of the differences, you will reserve your judgment and you allow the other person to speak. And if you're observant, you'll be able to read the room and see how the conversation goes. Look at nonverbal communication signals as a group. Don't read too much into a single gesture or nonverbal cue. Consider all the nonverbal signals you receive, from eye contact to tone of voice to body language. Anyone can slip occasionally and let eye contact go. For example, or briefly cross their arms without meaning to. Consider the signals as a whole to get a better read on the person. And at this point, I think we have enough to consider. I was hoping that other people would join the stream, but I do appreciate those who did stop by and view the material. Now, we are going to have another stream on Thursday. The topic will be what you hope for in 2022. Hopefully, we will have people join in. We will be discussing what are our hopes and aspirations for the new year. And the fact of the matter is, it has not been an easy 2 years. First of all, we'll be dealing with the health crisis and all the consequences entail. Also, we've been dealing with our freedoms being restricted and our activities being restricted. So, depending how it goes, if we have other people that will join the panel, we'll have an interesting conversation. Or it might just be a short video. Again, I encourage everybody to please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I prepare any streams or videos, you will be notified. We will have 2 streams in Spanish next month. The first stream will be La belleza de la cultura latina. What is the beauty of the Latin culture? And then the second topic would be, what are the obstacles that Latinos face? ¿Cuáles son los obstáculos que enfrentan los latinos viviendo en los Estados Unidos? So we're going to be, on that topic, we're going to be dealing with some of the issues and trials and tribulations that Latinos have to face, particularly those who have left their native countries to try to make a better life for themselves and their families, because there's a whole lot of issues that they have to face. First of all, the fact that they have to learn a foreign language and then live in a foreign land, and then not knowing what's going to happen to them. And also the fact of the matter is the difficulty in trying to assimilate to culture here in the United States. The first stream will be in Spanish, will be held on Tuesday, February the 1st. Well, actually, it's going to be the first Tuesday of the month. And then the second stream, that I have to, we have to plan it, because I do have some other streams that are scheduled. Just as I don't know if you have missed my video earlier. The scheduling is going to be more fluid. And the reason why, part of it has to do with the interviews. I have to deal with whenever my guests are available for interviews. Also, another issue is the fact of the matter, I'm going to be supporting other streams as well. So therefore, as a necessity, I need to change my scheduling as far as my streams are concerned. I do appreciate the fact that all of you have watched the stream, even though no one appeared on the panel. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my final thoughts, which are, as you can see, what was discussed, the art of effective communication consists of a dialogue where both or multiple individuals take turns listening, speaking, and assessing information. That being said, I'm going to close the same way I always close. People, please be careful out there, because we're still dealing with a health crisis which has killed over 850,000 people so far in this country. And we must do everything possible to limit our contact with the mentally and intellectually challenged. Because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by their stupidity and massive insanity, and we'll be facing with an epidemic that's even worse than C-19, which is massive stupidity and insanity. That being said, I thank you very much for those who did watch the stream and those who get it on the playback. Again, this has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Wishing all of you a blessed good night. Take care and peace.